This video is about making a paramotor safe for travel. And the goal is not just to remove the fuel and the flammable vapors, but also the smell of fuel and oil, if possible, because that could cause trouble when I'm checking in the baggage. And the TSA does allow motors as long as the motor has been purged of fuel and vapors. And the DGR 3166 Special Provision A70 allows this cargo to go as not restricted. So anyway, I'm showing some clips about what I do in this video. My goal was to find techniques for getting all the fuel out without spilling a drop. And I experiment with different ways to see any fuel in the system and get rid of it. I played around with rinsing techniques and primarily to get the smell out. And of course, I needed to remove the spark plug. And there was the process of allowing the machine to air out, which I helped with a small fan. So then I can stick the thing into the baggage, and hopefully it will be checked and without problem. So now we go into the detail about exactly what I did. Like some of this stuff was experimentation, so I wouldn't do it exactly the same way next time as I'm doing it here, but I think this is a legitimate way to empty the fuel tank. What you do is you take off the fuel line from the carburetor and you stick it into a gas can, which you have pre-positioned so that it's convenient. And then you just use the priming bulb to remove all the fuel in the fuel tank. Now, when you get down to a certain level, obviously it's not going to pick up every single drop. This took about 5 minutes maybe, or maybe a little bit longer. But you get down to sucking air. And then what I learned is if you lay the unit on its front, on the harness side, some more fuel will be transferred towards the pickup, and you can get rid of almost all the fuel. It's pretty good at getting rid of, this technique is pretty good at getting rid of almost every drop in the tank. Not every drop, but pretty close. And make sure you put that fuel line back onto the carburetor when you start doing what I'm doing here, tilting it around. And so I'm looking right now for fuel, and you can see that there's a little bit of fuel in there. And the reason is because there's this reservoir that's on the other side of that bar, so there's quite a bit of fuel in there. And that's why you have to tilt the unit onto its belly and then pump again. And then after I did that, I'm not showing that, but after I did that, I thought, well, I'll turn it over and tip all the fuel towards the fuel cap. And I thought, well, what if I've just put some absorbent material around the fuel cap and then put this back in and then let the fuel absorb into this paper towel. And that would make it so that I could dispose of this paper towel and not get any fuel on anything, because, like I said, one drop of fuel is just smelly as heck, and it could make my job a lot harder if I'm going for a zero smell situation here. So I put the paper towel down into the neck of the fuel tank, and then I'm going to invert it here shortly once I get this shoved down in there. I didn't actually twist the cap on for this technique. So anyway, I turned the thing over, and I noticed that there's some fuel that shows up here. Must have come out of the bulb. But things to watch out for is all. Like I said, I'm not going to do. I wouldn't do this exactly the same way next time. There's some efficiencies that I've learned. Anyway, when I pulled this out, the paper towel kind of stuck in there, but it was no problem to get that out. And although it doesn't look like it here, the paper towel did absorb fuel, and it wasn't dripping wet or anything like that. But that's actually good because it was plenty of paper towel for the little bit of fuel that was remaining. And so here I'm putting the cap back on for now, and looking at it from different angles, trying to figure out if there's any liquid fuel in there, and I don't think there is. I couldn't find any. But here there was some fuel in the fuel line, and we're in an inverted position now. And I'm pulling off the fuel line again and letting it go into that paper towel that we saw earlier. Just getting those drips of fuel out. And now one thing I do here that I probably wouldn't do is we'll go through this first. The pickup just came out after inverting it. If you invert it, or if you lay it down flat and then tilt it towards the tank cap side, and then take the cap off, the pickup just came out. I didn't have to fish it out. But now I'm trying to remove this keeper to get the fuel filter off. And I was successful just there. There's the keeper. And here's the fuel filter. And you can pull that off and have a paper towel there because that thing was soaked with fuel. And this is the pickup. And now what I'm doing is removing the fuel line from the tank, which I wouldn't do. I would first rinse it. And we're going to show a rinsing process. I reassembled this later and did some rinsing. And I also did some rinsing when it was separate. Anyway, here I am taking the priming bulb mount off so that I can rinse it. Alex shows the priming bulb in a separate bag, so he took his off too. So not rocket science here. Just removing the nut, and there's a washer there, and I drop it. Oops. But I found it, luckily, thankfully. And I know how it goes back on because I'm videoing it. So this is how it comes off, not rocket science. You just remove the clamps and you remove the priming bulb. So that's just separate and ready to be cleaned. And then I don't talk a lot about caps, and I wouldn't put them on now anyway, but I tried to find some things that I could use for a cap. I didn't do too good. I may have to work on that. Right now I've got some vinegar, and I know that this is a water-based thing, and you don't want water-based stuff in your fuel line. But I heard that the vinegar gets rid of the smell. And I wouldn't do this again. I would just use isopropyl alcohol. I think would probably work better. I did have some, but I had this huge thing of vinegar, so I thought, well, I'll at least throw these things in the vinegar and see what that does for the smell. Like I said, I think isopropyl alcohol is probably better. But yeah, I can. Right now, I'm just playing, of course, just squirting it because I can. Probably could have cut a lot of this out, but shorten your video, save you some time. I don't know why I kept this in here. So I do, by the way, rinse these off with isopropyl alcohol later, which evaporates better. And here's what I was talking about before. I reconnected the priming bulb to the tank, and now I'm picking up isopropyl alcohol from the dish, the pan there, and squirting it back into the dish. So I'm recirculating it and cleaning out the fuel lines with this well, actually isopropyl alcohol. It's is flammable, but it evaporates completely and leaves no smell. So I'm doing it again here. Again, probably could have lived with a shorter clip here, but so finally getting on to something else besides the fuel, taking out the spark plug. And luckily I saved the little plug that came with the motor when I got it brand new. There was a little orange plug in there which I'm going to put back in. Plug looks okay, I guess. Doesn't have many hours on it. I think I got 3 plugs and I've used 2 of them, and I've only got 7 hours on the machine. And a lot of that is break-in. Yeah, I'm not sure how many times I needed to pull it. I decided I would open up the throttle so that it would get more flow. I'm not sure how effective this is. Yeah, you'll notice that I've got the reduction gear taken off because it's easier to ship that way. And there's that plug I was talking about that came new with the motor. And I thought, I know that, again, probably people would say I ought not to have put this vinegar in the gas tank. But what I'm doing here is I'm making fluids that I can experiment with. And I didn't really have enough isopropyl alcohol to do the fuel tank, to put a significant amount. Actually, I had enough, but I'd get yelled at if I used it all. So I thought this was cool. Take a deep breath. Relax. There you have your meditative moment for the day. I just pour the vinegar in. And the purpose here is just to tilt it's kind of rinse twofold. It's to rinse the fuel tank, which again, if I saw isopropyl, I would have done it with that. But anyway, I tilted it at every angle possible and tried to coat the entire surface, inner surface of the gas tank, fuel tank. And then I just hold the glass down here and dump it out. And here, I'm not so worried about pumping it out carefully or anything like that, because if this spills, it'll smell like a pickle. And I'm not too worried about that. Or if this was isopropyl alcohol, I wouldn't worry about it either, because it would just evaporate without having a smell. So I'm just holding a glass over it and tipping it. Although I think I would tip this the other way. So I just I realized that I had, you know, kind of tipped it. Had not gotten all the fuel out because of the way I tipped it. You have to do things in a certain order, and so you can discover that there's fuel in different places by using a flashlight like this. It's a green glow, and this is the way to do it to get it all out. Is you put it on the gas cap side. And now I'm going to try to air things out a little bit, especially since I've got that vinegar in the fuel tank. I made this little tube with a cone, and I put it on the fuel tank. I don't know if this is necessary. It's probably not necessary. If you wait long enough, you probably don't need to mess around with a fan or anything like that. But I thought I'd do this because I wanted to put it in, pack it in the big suitcase that I bought. So the idea here, you know, you let it air out, and I'm not talking about dryer sheets yet for masking. I'm not using the masking until the last minute. I want to see exactly what it smells like. So anyway, I got this 190 liter case. It's for motocross, and I didn't think it would fit, but somebody said it would, and I said, okay, I'll try it. So it has to go in upside down. It has to go in with the motor on the outside. If you cut the case, you know, it'll fit. Probably fit the other way, but I didn't want to cut the case. So it zips up, and there's a little window pouch thing on the side here that you see, and you can just kind of shove it in there and zip this thing up. So I didn't believe it when it fit in there. I was amazed. So anyway, that's the video. There's kind of more to say, but that's all I'll say for now. Hopefully you enjoyed it.